Everyone, being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm going to change this around a little bit. So we have election of council president under action items. I'm going to move it up now, so we have that taken care of, and we can move on. In case I leave to get a cup of coffee and don't come back, we got somebody to fill in, all right? So anyway, I would like to recommend Lucinda DeNovo to fill in that position. Rob Miles previously was the council president, and as I hope most of you know or don't know, he has moved and unfortunately not in that position any longer because he moved to Springfield. It's kind of ironic, we have 3 council presidents all moving into the Eugene Springfield area, so hopefully Lucinda doesn't do that. So, well, first of all, she's got to be elected. So anyway, council, I would like to have you have Lucinda sit in this position, so if I could get a motion to approve that, I'd appreciate it.
So moved. Second.
And is there any discussion or comments? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Congratulations, and thank you for being willing to do that. All right. Next item on the agenda is public comments. So this would be the time to come forth and make a comment that is preferably not on the agenda. Anyone interested in doing that? Any comments by anyone? We got a full house here. Come on up.
Ken Folker from Coos Bay. I want to talk about a little bit about the Oregon legislature and their walking off the job. You know, it's pretty disgusting when the going gets tough, they walk out. No matter what party does it, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't come back the next legislative section, you should be out of there. You should be fired, just like you would if you walked off the job, any job. You walk off for a couple of days, what are they going to do? Most likely fire you. That's what should happen to the legislators who walked off the job. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. So on the consent calendar, item C, acceptance of the 2022 Rotary Foundation Grant Award. I'm going to move that down to under presentations to number C. And so, so if you would go ahead and accept the consent calendar with that change, I'd appreciate it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar as revised. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. I see Carmen is with us virtually, and just want to mention Carmen Matthews, Councilor Matthews, is virtual with us this evening. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the presentation from the Community Coalition of Empire, and President Joanne Moss is here, and you have a presentation for us, I understand. Welcome, good to see you.
Okay. I want to thank you for allowing us to do a small presentation. I won't take too much time. But I do want to fill you in on a little bit of the history about our Community Coalition of Empire, or CCE, and also boast a little bit about our accomplishments and then brag a little bit about our future plans. So I am Joanne Moss. How do you work this? Could you do it for me?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm not real good at technology. I know how to message on my phone, but that's about it. Anyways, I'm Joanne Moss. I'm currently serving as the president of the Community Coalition of Empire, or CCE, and we are located in the historic Empire District of Coos Bay. That's me. Go ahead. Next one. This is a little bit of history about the Community Coalition of Empire, about in 2002, right around then, there were about 15 citizens who got together because they didn't like the way that Empire was portrayed. It was kind of looked at as the redheaded stepchild. So things were happening in downtown Coos Bay and in other areas of Coos Bay, but not much was happening in Empire. So they banded together, they applied for a 201c3 tax exempt status, and they called themselves the Concerned Citizens of Empire. We still have the same initials, but we changed it a little bit. It's the Community Coalition of Empire now. What they did was they looked at what was going on or what wasn't going on in the Empire District. And as many of you know, Empire was pretty much where the whole city of Coos Bay started. You know, we had tribal villages there. That was one of the best waterways on the West Coast. We just had all kinds of things there at one point in time, and then we were kind of disregarded or forgotten about for a while. But anyways, the mission of the Concerned Citizens was to develop and to preserve the historic significance of the Hollering Place Empire site. And the main thing was to change the negative image of the Empire District. Okay. The current mission statement is up right there. Oh, that's easier to read. Okay, it was updated this year, and we now say the mission of CCE is to improve the appearance and economic health of the historic Empire District of Coos Bay in order to attract business and tourism, as well as foster a happy, inclusive, congenial, and safe village community. What that means basically is we want people to stop in Empire, to shop in Empire, to do some business in Empire before they keep going over to Shore Acres or wherever they're headed. Empire is a great place to stop. It has a lot of history and a lot of things going for it, and I think it's really, really important that we highlight those things. Some of the accomplishments that our groups have been able to help with are the development and the implementation of the Edland Park, which is on South Wall Street, right by the fire department. The facade improvement program that is continuing today. Some safety with our sidewalks and crosswalks. The boat building center, which has been sold recently, but we helped with that. The Hollering Place project, that was a big thing that we worked on. The downtown Empire parking, and we have some really good news about that coming up, thanks to the city and to Dutch Bros. Zoning and speed limit changes, and the speed limit in the core Empire District is 20 miles an hour. Now, you guys, that's not a speed limit that's kind of like, well, maybe you should go 20 miles. It's not a suggested speed limit. It's actually the real speed limit. So a lot of people don't do that. The Empire Clamboree and Art Festival is another one. You can see the cars show up there. And that was pretty successful. We held that for a number of years. And then the dog park. Two of our members were founding members of the dog park that is over by the airport. And by the way, we're looking for a new place, and we're kind of hoping that maybe somewhere in one of the parks we can move that dog park, which would be nice, because I know the airport is using where the large dog park was. That site has been taken back by the airport district. So we just have the small dog park there now. But we do have all of the fencing and the materials. We're storing all that. So if we can find a suitable place, hopefully in Coos Bay would be nice, to relocate the dog park, that would be great. Yeah. That's okay. Oh, I think you went forward. There's the dog park, the next one, yeah. We have, through the years, since we are a small nonprofit, we don't have a lot of money. So what we do is, and it's actually advantageous in a lot of ways, we forge partnerships with different entities. We have worked on a number of projects with the city of Coos Bay, and you guys have been wonderful and very generous with your funding and help, and we really appreciate that. Hopefully it'll continue. We also have worked with Star of Hope. Star of Hope hosts our annual Santa visit and tree lighting and open house. They have a great open house for the family where they have gumdrop villages built by the different, their different consumers and the staff. And you just go in and you vote on the one that you like the best while you're waiting for Santa, and you also enjoy some cookies and refreshments and music, and the kids get gifts. Let me just say one thing about the Santa visit. When we had our lockdown during COVID, we were not able to host this, and Star of Hope wasn't able to open their doors. So what we did was we worked with Chief Mark over there from the fire department, and we planned a route out where the fire department would put Santa on top of the fire engine and drive through the city, drive through the streets of Empire. And we advertised it, and so we had lots of kids come out, and they were able to see Santa on top of the fire engine, and then his elves distributed gifts to the kids. So we were able to do it that way, and that was really cool. We also work with the Coos Bay Art Museum. They've been very, very generous this year in that they are helping to fund our utility box art program. We work with the Dolphin Playhouse for meeting space and our event happenings that happen there. And the Dolphin also provides actors for us and scripts and things like that when we want to do special presentations. The third Saturday in July, we always have a nonprofits parking lot sale, and we invite all of the local nonprofits to put up a table and sell their things at the Dolphin Playhouse parking lot. And so it's been pretty successful. We've had some refreshments there. We wanted to do a car show, but we're not able to do that this year. But it'll be the third Saturday this July from 10 to 4, so come on out and support the nonprofits. And that was the Santa in the neighborhood that we talked about and the route that we were able to put together. And that's some of the, well, we had Scooby-Doo there and Santa Claus in the same night. What more could you want? And then we also have singers who come and sing and performers who just make it a very enjoyable evening for families. Okay. Our current project is the Empire Utility Art Project. We are starting phase 2 of that right now, but I'll show you some of phase 1's art. That, which is right at the entrance of Walmart, that became that. And then that one is on South Empire Boulevard. It became that. These were 2 entries from special ed kids from the South Coast ESD Special Ed Department. And both of those young artists have painted theirs. Okay. And there's one of them, and the other one is right in front of the, that one is on South Empire, right by the new disposal what is that? Thank you, wastewater treatment plant. And the other one is directly across the, no, not that one. That one's at the wastewater treatment plant. This one is directly in front of the Coos Bay Empire mural. And then that's one of our artists also. Our future plans and hopes and dreams for Empire are that we get a lot more art brought in. We've identified about 5 more buildings in the Empire area that would look really great with murals on them. So we're hoping to do that. We want to continue to work cooperatively with different entities to improve Empire so that people know that it's a great place to live, work, and shop. And we want to make Empire a destination, not a pass-through. We want to continue to develop and to offer more family-friendly events. And we want to involve more individuals who are interested in helping us to improve the Empire area and businesses who would like to help us. We would love to get you involved. We want to make sure that people know that there are lots of great things happening in Empire and lots of great things that are there to be offered to anyone who looks. One of the other things we want to do is to put together a self-guided walk, pointing out different historic sites and buildings and things like that in Empire. And of course, we want to engage more businesses, residents, and interested parties. And then I think the next one, that is a building, for instance, I'm going to tout our horn too, because I got real tired of seeing that building, that old gas station next to Tokyo Bistro. And people were parking there, and it's just falling apart. It looks terrible. So I contacted Dutch Bros. I know Sarah also contacted Dutch Bros around the same time, and Roger was working with them. But I said, hey, I sent him a letter, and I said, hey, look, I'm the president of this group. I live here. I'm a business owner, and I'm really tired of seeing this. Are you going to build a Dutch Bros? What are you doing? Why don't you donate it? So I think from pressure, because all of us exerted some pressure, they donated the building and the site to the city. And I believe it's going to be a parking lot because we badly need parking there. That little building right there is probably one of the first libraries. I think it is the second library. It's at 130 South Wall. That's right behind that old gas station, so that's all coming down. But my hope is that we could at least put a plaque up there or something that talks about this being one of the first libraries. The first library was in the Empire Fire Station. It was in a little room in the Empire Fire Station. Then it moved over here. That building has been so many things. It's been a real estate office. It's been an import business. It's been a TV repair place. It's been a dog grooming place. Throughout the years, it's been a lot of things. But it was one of the first libraries in Empire. We are funded through our annual memberships. Our memberships are $25 a year. We accept donations, we fundraise, we do grants, and then we also work with other partners, as I've already mentioned. We don't have a big budget. I think maybe we usually have $8,000 or $10,000 in our account. So it's not a huge budget. And when you consider that the Empire mural was an $8,000 project, you know, thankfully we had the city to help us in Star of Hope. We meet the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at AYA, and the address is 575 South Main, or you can even zoom in. And then our mailing address is on there, and my contact info. And we also have a Facebook page, so we try to post as much as we can on the Facebook page, including the link and also to let you know who our guest speaker is at the next CCE meeting. And if you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to text or call or email or stop me in the hall or whatever. Okay? Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I just wanted to thank you for your passion around Empire. You know that there are 2 counselors here that live in the Empire area, and I'm sure you know that we are embarking on a blueprint plan, essentially a master plan for the Empire area, and it really is quite remarkable, everything that you've accomplished. Especially in the last few years, the mural that you worked with the City of Coos Bay and Star of Hope and the tribes, it's just a wonderful representation of what Empire could be. And so I'm hoping that blueprint plan that we'll be putting together, and there's a meeting next week, I'll put a plug in for it. So we've got our first Empire Blueprint meeting with the Planning Commission here in Council Chambers Tuesday, June 13th. So I encourage everyone to attend who is interested in watching Empire become really what it should be, which is a historic, remarkable area that we need to focus on now. So thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Lucinda. I have membership applications here for the 2 council members who live in Empire.
This is my favorite meeting of the month. I attend a lot of meetings, and this is my favorite meeting of the month, so I highly encourage you to come and attend and check it out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We usually have a guest speaker, and then I don't know what I'm doing half the time, so everybody laughs, so I'm just going to give you those. And I also have business cards if anybody wants any of those. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this quote that I just love: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, Joanne, just want to remind you, you have a Rotary presentation on the 27th of this month. They've been trying to get a hold of you, so I'm here to remind you, all right? All right, good. All right. So I know that some people signed in for the public comments, and so I will get to you after the presentations. We won't forget you, so I'll let you go ahead and come up and speak at that time. So I'm going to make another change here. I think it's appropriate that we're going to have the Rotary make their presentation on the grant first, and then we'll make the other presentation after that. So, Steve?
Thank you, Mayor Benetti, councilors, Chief Anderson, and a big crew of firefighters here for more than one reason, so it's great to have everybody here. My name is Steve Schneiderman. I'm a member of the Coos Bay North Bend Rotary Club and secretary of the Rotary Coos Foundation. Our foundation president, Russ Clark, was not able to make it tonight, but I have Randy Thompson here, current president of Coos Bay North Bend Rotary, and Rotarian Tim Novotny, who's also a foundation director. So appreciate them joining tonight. I'd like to start off with just a little story. Many of you know the story, but a few don't. I joined Coos Bay Fire as a volunteer in 1982 and enjoyed 25 wonderful years with the department. And my area of interest has always been the rescue part of the department. And in the early days of the fire service, our Jaws of Life, which were a Hearst tool, consisted of this big hydraulic spreader unit that weighed probably around 100 pounds. I may have just been really weak, but you know. And then it was powered by a hydraulic pump that was also very heavy, and then hoses that went between the pump and the unit. And it usually took 2 firefighters to operate the Jaws to like open up a car door or pull a steering wheel, and there were often muscle strains, back strains, all kinds of potential injuries and actual injuries that happen to firefighters. One story that I'd like to share is, I don't even remember what year it was, but we had a small aircraft go down up in a wooded area out Coos River, and the team had to hike in with the Jaws of Life equipment. And then we had to hike back out with the Jaws of Life equipment and the patient that was extricated from the aircraft. So that was really hard. So that brings us now to 2023. Technology has changed greatly. I wish this was available back in my day, but there is now, I think it's made by a company called Homatro, and it's a battery-powered combination JAWS spreader cutter unit. And it is compact. It can go in a backpack and be easily carried to a remote scene, but it's also quickly deployable for a motor vehicle accident here within the city or in the department's mutual aid response. I truly believe that a tool like this is not only going to save lives of our community members and our visitors passing through, but it's also going to prevent firefighter injury. And we were really excited when we got the application from Coos Bay Fire to ask the Rotary Coos Foundation to help them purchase one of these tools. And so here today we are presenting our ceremonial check for $10,000 for a new combination, battery-powered combination tool to help the citizens of Coos Bay. We'd love to do a photo op with council and fire if we have a moment to do that. And so Mayor Benet, I'll let you decide where the best place to. Okay.
Yeah, the firefighter.
Yeah.
Please join us. This is definitely a.
You guys are going to be the ones using it.
Hide behind myself.
That means you don't get to use it, Jason.
You bet. Thanks, Steve. Randy, appreciate it. Dan?
And then if there's any questions from council, I'll be glad to entertain them. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, the next item is Mark, presentation of retirement plaque.
Well, good evening. Mayor Benetti and Council, it's my privilege to invite you to join us in honoring my friend and colleague, Lieutenant Doug Vetter, for his 33 years of service to the city of Coos Bay. Doug, aka Mrs. Esterhaus, joined the fire department in 1990 as a student firefighter. He was hired as a full-time career staff member in March of 1993. By demonstrating leadership and outstanding character, Doug earned the rank of lieutenant in 1996 and has served in that capacity since that time. Just a fun story, in 1994, Doug and I were dispatched to the Edgewater Motel for a man that was in distress. So this guy was, he had a implanted cardiac defibrillator, similar to a pacemaker, installed in his chest, and it had malfunctioned. So every 10 seconds or so, he was getting shocked by this device. In between shocks, the man was able to communicate that he remembered something about a magnet being able to deactivate the device. And so Doug remembered that there was a light on our fire truck that was one of those little rotating beacon lights that had a magnet so you could stick up on top. And so he ran out to the fire truck and brought it back in, put it on the patient's chest, and it worked. It deactivated the device, and the patient was extremely grateful. Doug received the Oregon Emergency Services Service of Excellence Award for his quick thinking on that. Doug has proudly served this community for over 3 decades. He was there during the darkest days in the city's history, but he's also celebrated some extremely memorable times as well. Throughout his career, Doug Vetter has consistently worked to improve this department. Therefore, it's my honor to present Doug Vetter with this shadow box to commemorate his service to the fire department and the city of Coos Bay. So, Doug.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug. Well, it's been an honor.
Bassmaster.
Yeah, Bassmaster. For the last 30 years, serving this community, been something that I've enjoyed my whole time. To put it in perspective how long it's been, I think we got a city manager and a fire chief that resided out there at Empire while I was a brand new lieutenant just coming in. It's been that long, and it's been a pleasure. I want to take some of the focus off of me right now and thank all these guys. Okay? Everyone here. So realize that a third of our life, we're down there at the fire station. You know? We don't get the family or anything like that. My wife, Mindy, she's been my rock. Helped me through it all. Okay? Got 2 boys. 3 boys. two that are graduated, and then you got the little one that's going to keep me alive for quite a while. I got a lot of time to spend with them, but like I said, it's been an honor, and I thank everybody, especially these guys that have been there to help me out too. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for your service. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. All right. Well, all right. Okay, so I think we have some public comments, and so I'm going to let those happen. We have some public comments, and so those are going to allow those to happen now. So I don't know who signed up, but who would like to come forth and make a public comment? Who's on the list here? Okay. Ken already did, so Kathy Cooley?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Cooley, 652 14th Avenue in Eastside. And I just really want to thank you for the installation of the ADA kayak dock in Empire Lakes. That's really a lovely addition. Took me a few minutes to figure out how it works, but I like it. And I am curious to hear if you might have plans to install a kayak dock maybe in Eastside anytime soon?
So it's a combination of TSOC, Travel Southern Oregon Coast, who actually gave a grant and facilitates that with the cooperation of the city of Coos Bay. And so that was one. I know they're looking at putting some others in, but I'm not sure Eastside's on the list. I think that they're looking at one in North Bend. They're also looking at maybe one at the Coos Bay docks. We even looked at somewhere out in Empire. So I know they're going to put more in, but Eastside hasn't been mentioned, but it's something that I can bring up. So.
Yeah, it'd be great if it was on your radar.
All right. I'll be glad to do that. Thank you. I'm
Awesome.
glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
You bet. Peter, are you next?
Peter Cooley from Eastside. Yeah, that'd be great. We kayak a fair amount over in Eastside, and it's got nice wind protection compared to the rest of the slough. So I would just second that. And every opportunity I get in front of you guys, I always say that people go too fast on 14th Avenue, and we need to. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. All right. Any other public comments that we overlooked, or someone else want to make a comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, approval of the Juneteenth proclamation. Nicole?
Sorry, remember those mics. I can start us out. I believe we have some folks here who are going to actually read the proclamation. So, as many of us know, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in January of 1863. Unfortunately, it took a couple years for that information to make it around. So the adoption of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery, is kind of highlighted by it finally making it to everyone across the nation, and that was identified as what we now know as Juneteenth. So Jamar is here to read for us.
Like, why did I just get nervous? Okay. Okay, well, hello, everyone. My name is Jamar. I am the director of the South Coast Equity Coalition and one of the planners for Juneteenth in our community, and it is really my pleasure to be here to read the proclamation today. It says, and I did not bring my glasses, whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in the Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2 or 1.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and the Southwestern United States. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans, and it's called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas in its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is a day that should be recognized by all Americans and remind us all of our incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve. And
Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, do hereby proclaim the month of June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the City of Coos Bay, and encourage everyone to recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice. And Jamar, thank you for reading it.
Thank
So
you.
council, I need a motion to accept this proclamation, please.
I move to approve the proclamation designating June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the Juneteenth proclamation. Is there any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item is approval of Pride Month proclamation. Nicole?
Thank you. So very similar, we do have an individual here to read the proclamation for us, and just to kind of walk into that. This movement started in the late 60s with an incident that resulted in several historic Supreme Court rulings that were intended to overrule regressive laws, affirm marriage equality, and enable some workplace protections for members of the LGBTQIAS+ community. It is the city's desire that we acknowledge the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion in the community, and continue to support the efforts towards equality and promoting Pride Month for the community as a whole. So I would turn that over if you'd like to read.
Gladly. Whereas the month of June was designated Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall Inn incident, which occurred in June 1969 and is generally recognized as the catalyst of the LGBTQ+ rights movement. And whereas every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, and mental or physical disability. And whereas the long and ongoing struggle of the LGBTQ+ community for basic civil and human rights continues to provide inspiration to all. And whereas Coos Bay celebrates the history and diversity of our city's LGBTQ plus community and promotes a society in which all residents can live free from discrimination. And whereas Pride Month is an opportunity to celebrate this harmony in which we coexist. And
Now therefore, I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, and on behalf of the City Council, do here proclaim the month of June 23 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in the City of Coos Bay, and encourage everyone to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists, and respect the rights of all people, and to celebrate the great diversity of our city. So with that being said, Council, I need a motion to approve this proclamation, please.
I move that we approve the proclamation designating June 2023 as Pride Month.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Pride Month proclamation. Are there any other comments or discussions?
I just wanted to commend the Coos History Museum. It was wonderful to see the Pride flag up on their flagpole, and I've heard rumor that there might be another flagpole that will be put up for other flags, including the Pride flag next year, a really big flag. So I really wanted to take this opportunity. I'm looking at Sarah because Sarah serves on the board, but thank you to you and the museum for finding a place where we could put that flag up, because it's very important to this community. So thank you.
Yeah. And so with that, any other comments?
Yes, I have a comment. There are a lot of ways to celebrate Pride this month, thanks to Southern Oregon Coast Pride. You can read about it at socpride.org. But for example, tonight at the Coos History Museum, drag as an art form and activism is happening. There's a de-escalation training. There's a book club. There's a Rainbow Royale prom happening. Pride in the Park. Lots of really great ways to get involved and celebrate.
All right, any other comments? Great comments. All right, with that being the case, I'm going to call the question on the proclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you for both coming and reading the proclamation for us. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the use of the revenue sharing funds. And so to get some explanation about this, Nicole, are you going to start us off?
Yes, I will start us off. So in order for the City of Coos Bay to participate in the Oregon State Revenue Sharing Program, a public hearing is required to be held before both the Budget Committee and City Council. The public hearing before the Budget Committee was held on May 4th, and in accordance to the ORS, we are asking that we hold a public hearing here tonight and take any public comments in regards to how the city might spend those funds.
All right, so at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing on the use of revenue sharing funds, approval to fund, or follow after that. So anyone would like to come up and make a comment or ask a question about it or inquiry? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And then council, how would you like to proceed on the resolution?
I move that we adopt Resolution 23-11, accepting state revenue sharing funds.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 23-11. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda is we're going to have a public hearing on the approved fiscal year 23-24 budget. And so, Nicole, will you start us off again?
Yes, I will. Thank you. So each year, the city undergoes a budget process, which includes several months of preparation by staff, a presentation to the Budget Committee, which occurred on May 4th, at which time the Budget Committee reviews and potentially is asked to approve the budget and forward it to you for a recommendation. So what you have before you tonight is that approved budget with, I think we've made a little alteration in there from their recommendation. The process requires that we hold a public hearing, take public comments if there's any to be taken before you guys make a decision on adopting that budget.
So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on the approval of the fiscal year 23-24 budget. This will be the time to come forth and make a comment if you like. All right, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. The council, how would you like to move forward on the budget, the resolution adopting the budget?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-12, adopting the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 23-1 for the fiscal year budget of 23-2024. I just want to comment that there's all the councilors serve on this, plus 7 at-large citizens participate in this, and I want to thank everyone for doing that. It was a process that we go through line item by line item and look at, and you're more than welcome for public to come. We'll be doing it again next year. So, but anyway, I want to thank everyone for their participation, and of course the staff. Melissa, Nicole, and everyone else that was involved, and of course Roger, right? Anyway, anyone else on the comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. So, Nicole, you're gonna get them all tonight. So we're gonna have a consideration of adopting a resolution 23-13 to increase sewer user fees by 6.5%. Nicole?
Okay, yes, I will take that, but I think we also, I was just looking here, sorry, I didn't do it fast enough. We may have had a resolution within the
Budget?
grant
On the where?
for the grant to appropriate the funds. Sorry, I should have got there.
Oh, because we moved it out of the consent agenda?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Didn't we approve them in the consent calendar?
Well, we moved the item out of the consent calendar.
Oh,
I don't
for
know if
the
that
grant, for the
qualifies
Rotary?
Yeah, I don't know
Gotcha.
if that qualifies as,
So do we need to do that?
Yes.
yeah,
Right
that would
now?
be
We
great.
need to
if we
move
could-
to accept the 2022 Rotary Foundation Grant Award for $10,000. Is
Okay.
that correct?
I move we adopt Resolution 23-14 to adjust appropriations for the 2022-2023 fiscal year in the amount of $10,000 awarded from the 2022 Rotary Foundation Grant to assist with the purchase of a combination spreader and cutter hydraulic extrication tool.
Great job.
Second.
Wow. All right. It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 23-14 to adjust the appropriations for the 22-23 fiscal year for $10,000 for the award from Rotary. Mouthful. I'm stopping there. Anyone else with comments? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. All right, Nicole, now you get to explain the increase in sewer user fees for 6.5%, please.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for taking that step backwards. So as part of the process for the annual budget, we do a rate analysis for our user fees for the wastewater plant, the process there. We actually engage a rate consultant who's been working with the city for a number of years to look at both the operation and maintenance of the wastewater facilities and also the costs of what we intend to improve over the upcoming years and the related debt service to that. So this process involves pretty intricate spreadsheets and things that he works on, and then he reports back to us the rates that he believes will keep us able to meet all of our obligations. So in this year, we are looking at a 6.5% increase. You may remember several years ago, we've had conversations about, those rates kind of sticking between the 5 to 6.5%. We are about to undertake a pretty significant project with Plant 1, and so this is a little bit increased compared to what we did last year, but it's really intended to make sure we keep those rates flat over the coming years. A part of this process, we also do a survey of other area jurisdictions who also have the same service. We just need to keep in mind that though they may provide that same service, their systems are a little bit different than the cities. We do have a much larger total infrastructure with 2 plants and all the pump stations and things necessary for our topography here. So what's before you is a resolution to increase the sewer rates by 6.5%. That will then, if passed, would go to the water board to change fees beginning July 1st.
All right, so can you explain to us how, and mostly the public, I've been through this, and I really appreciate how we've come to the determination of these rates that we did do. How do we do that? I mean, we hire someone to do an analysis for us?
Yeah, this is.
So some history. Back in 2007, the city was being told by DEQ that we had to undertake nearly $80 million at that time, and it has changed. It hasn't gone down. Worth of capital improvements to our system over a 20-year period. So the city was faced at making a decision, how best do we do that? Do we raise rates each time we have a project to cover the cost of that project? Because we don't have the cash to undertake it. And it is a user-paid enterprise, a user-paid utility. Or the other model was that we would manage capital improvements through debt service. The city hired a consultant to look at the amount of projects and the timing of those projects over the 20-year period to determine how best to finance it. And the determination was made, if we take a program where we raise rates on average at 6.5% per year, we could finance all of the required capital improvements and keep a steady rate growth instead of what was done a few years previous to that, where there was some large expenditures and the council had to make some tough decisions and implemented back-to-back double-digit rate increases. I believe one year was 20% and another year was 25%.
According to this, it was 25, 2 times.
So this was a model that was used, and each and every year, even after we've started that program, we use our rate study consultant to take a look at where we are and still where we're going and if we're on the same model.
Great. No, and I was around during those times with 20, 25%. In fact, that's probably the reason I got off at the time I did. But anyway, this is a great approach to do this. I can tell you, no one likes to do increases, but it's necessary. And we have Plant 1 that we're going to be doing for the tune of, how much for this year have we budgeted? Over 20 million for wastewater this year, right?
The engineer's estimate is 14 to 16 million.
Right. And then the other fix, we have a pump station, I believe, and some lines that need to be repaired. And I think, if I remember correctly, at that meeting, it was going to be like over 20 million. So anyway, it's a lot that we do, and we do it on a regular basis, and that's why we have a good system, and we're ahead of the game, I guess, is the way to put it. So anyway, I appreciate that. Any other comments from anyone? Hearing none? All right. So, council, how would you like to proceed?
Move that we adopt Resolution 23 TAC 13, adjusting sewer rates, sewer user rates, charges, and fees.
Was there public comment in there anywhere?
You can, if you'd like.
I apologize.
Okay, so go ahead and make the motion, and then we have a second.
Second.
Okay, so let's take a public comment. Come on up.
I
No
knew
question.
this wasn't going to be easy, Peter.
Okay, so Peter Cooley, East Side. So it's DEQ can compel the city to make these improvements. What about non-point sources from the people outside the city that contribute a lot to the pollution? So I mean, I don't think DEQ is doing enough.
For the pollution, or are we talking sewer? There's two different issues here.
Both. DEQ's got purview over both, don't they?
So there's a Bunker Hill Sanitation District that we work with, and that's how that works with Bunker Hill. Coos Bay Charleston Sanitation is a 30% owner in Plant 2 and their system. So they control their system, and they have a 30% ownership in ours and maintenance of that.
Yes, and if I understand your question correctly, you're talking about non-point sources outside the city.
Failing sewer systems. Yeah, outside the city. So fair's fair.
Failing septic
Yeah,
systems.
Septic tanks, right?
I would just ask, leach fields. That maybe somebody would point that out to DEQ, that since we're paying 6.5% a year. Okay, so second question is, what happens at the end of that period? Do the rates keep going up, or do they go down, or do they just stay steady at some point? I'm assuming there's a lot of maintenance that has to go into it all the time.
Correct.
But 6% compounded yearly that's going to be a lot of money in 20 years.
Yeah, that's why we have the analysis done on a regular basis, and he does it yearly. So he says where we're at and what we've accomplished. Is there a chance those will go down? I hope. But, we have how many miles of sewer line?
90?
90 miles, and how many pump stations? 29?
25.
25. So, we're replacing a pump station a year. At this time, they cost about $1 million. Is that correct?
That's correct, on the low end.
So you can see, Peter, there's a lot of infrastructure to keep up with it.
Sure.
And what's happened in the past, I can tell you, we weren't good stewards in the past with our infrastructure maintenance, and because of it, we have found ourselves in this position and had to take the actions we did. So.
Okay. And my final point, and this is a little tangential, but the transport fee, that the $10 a month, there are people who don't pay that. They're within the city limits because they don't have a sewer connection or a water connection.
Correct.
So I think.
So there's two ways to approach this. We have a gas tax already initiated, and the council had discussed this. We could end a gas tax, but we don't feel that it would have gotten the individual attention it would have. The $10 fee goes to everyone in the city, and some don't drive, but we have pointed out to them that they still benefit from the services, as you pointed out. Fire, ambulance, UPS, FedEx, all those other services that help them live in our city.
Sure.
So.
I'm just saying you need to send a $120 bill to the people who don't pay it on the water bill.
I think if we had our way and could, we probably would, but we're only in control within the city limits, so.
I think it's also important to point out, we keep talking about the 6.5%, but it's really about $5 a month increase. So yes, it goes up, but it's not that significant. And obviously we need those monies to help continue to fund the infrastructure. And again, we're in the unique situation that we have two plants here. And when you look at the rate structure, when you're comparing North Bend to Coos Bay, it's about a $5 difference. We're not the most expensive. I know your angst. I feel it too, but I feel like we, as a community, have to be responsible, and so we have to be able to pay for that infrastructure, and ultimately the citizens get to pay for it.
And Peter, you make good points. I mean, we have some individuals outside this area that probably need, those things need to be attention. They need to take care of their issues because they do affect us in some fashion one way or the other. You're absolutely correct.
I'm just curious, we talk about doing so many a year and how we're allocating funding from the money that we're generating. But with 26 stations, 90 miles of pipe, and 2 wastewater treatment plants, basically the expectation that this is going to go down because nothing is going backwards is difficult to even to think about at this point, because once you get done with one, by the time you finish all of it, you're back to having to do that one again, and it's going to be exponential in the cost.
Well, hopefully the wastewater
And Jennifer's
plants,
shaking her head yes. So.
But hopefully the wastewater plants they're expected to last 20 years. Am I correct?
That is correct. And even though you've talked about all those components and it sounds vast, that only talks about the wastewater side. There's still a storm sewer side, which is another 90 miles of pipe and a couple more pump stations, or at least one more pump station. 3.
Anyway, all right. I hope we answered some of your questions. I'm sure that we haven't resolved them all, but at least we discussed them. Anyway, I appreciate it. All right, Council, we have a motion and a second before us. How would you like to proceed? Oh, it's my turn. Any more discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. All right. Back on. Next item on the agenda is approval of the library services contract. Sammy, you're going to explain to us what this is all about.
All right, good evening, thank you. Each year, the 8 public libraries in the Coos County enter into a contract with the Coos County Library Service District and for library services. And we are at that point again this year. The annual contract contains in part the tax distribution formula for the libraries and the contractual amount for the Extended Services Office. This contract that's before you tonight is for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. And it includes approximately $1,256,000 in revenue to to cover the annual operation expenses of the Coos Bay Library, and it also provides for $720,520 to operate extended services office.
So this also doesn't this agreement doesn't carry, but the library services take care of all the libraries in the county, is that correct?
The overall taxing district
Right.
does, yes.
This is our portion of that.
Correct. Each of the 8 have to do the same exact contract with the district.
And so how are these funds determined to be allocated? Why is ours X and North Bend's different than everyone else?
Yeah, each library has a percentage in the formula that they receive of the, first they take the extended services off the top, and then they divide the rest up according to the formula.
Okay. Any other questions, anyone? All right.
Sorry, I have one.
Sure.
So this is, the success of our library helps all other libraries.
Oh, definitely.
successful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We all cooperate greatly and help each other out, and yes, the more successful each one of them is, the greater
But
a
if
whole.
Coos Bay Library was not providing this, for this foundation infrastructure, then what would happen?
There would be a giant hole. We are what's known as a net lender. We provide more books out to the other libraries than we bring in from them, for instance. We have some unique collections that are available, not only to Coos Bay residents, but others can check them out too with the same, we have the Coastline card that works throughout the county. So those would disappear. Not to mention our programming, our classes, computers, all sorts of things.
So there were a group of people back in the 90s, I think Carol Yardley, Benchen, sorry,
Benchen.
Carol Benchen is one of them, forgive me, who really were visionary, recognizing that we needed a district. And because they put that on the ballot and the citizens overwhelmingly approved it, that's ultimately why we have such a successful county, right, in terms of the library services.
Absolutely. The stable funding makes all the difference. Before the library district, it was serial levies, which could or could not pass, and this provides stable funding each year.
All right. Any other questions, comments? How would you like to proceed, council?
I move to authorize the city manager to sign the library services contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the library services contract. Are there any comments or other discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Sammy. Next item is consideration to approve the contract for the construction for the Third and Central Green Parking Lot Project. Jennifer, yay, finally.
Thank you. So the city is proposing a parking lot at the southwest corner of South 3rd Street and Central Avenue. This project is a sponsorship option, or otherwise known as an SO project. It's through the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality State Revolving Fund. Because of the SO loan dollars, water quality has to be a major component. So the parking lot will treat 100% of the discharge of the stormwater runoff prior to discharging to the bay via pervious pavers. Due to the water quality component, or we call it green component, the project is titled Third and Central Green Parking Lot. The parking lot proposes 14 spaces, sitting areas, landscaping, outside trash enclosures for local businesses, and auxiliary power sources for festival events and the farmers market. So last summer, the project was advertised for bids. While there were several contractors on the plan holders list, the city only received one bid. The bid was almost double the engineer's estimate, just under $1.5 million. And the engineer's estimate, 2022 dollars, was $800,000. So staff called local contractors who were on the plan holders list, but that did not submit the bid. And the overall sense was the local contractors had a significant amount of work and backlog and thus did not need the project. So due to the lack of contractors not willing to bid this project and the excessive bid that was received, council rejected the bid with the recommendation to staff to rebid it summer 2023. So staff re-advertised for bids last month. 2 bids were received. So Knife River at a bid of $1,210,980, and Lasky Clifton for $1,390,431.90. So the engineer work is Dyer Partnership. The engineer's estimate for this project was just at $1.1 million. Attached is a letter from Dyer with their concurrence that the bid received from Knife River is responsive. It is staff's recommendation to award the bid to Knife for an amount not to exceed $1,392,627, which includes a 15% contingency. So before I move on to budget implications, I want to talk about the other green parking lot project that we're working on.
On Front Street?
Along Front Street between Cedar and Date.
So we went out, for everyone's understanding, we went out for both bids on both parking lots.
At the same time.
And we received this one, got a bid for back on this one. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So like the mayor said, we bid Front Street with the green parking lot along 3rd and Central at the same time. And unfortunately, we received no bids. When we reached out to the contractors, basically the consensus was they couldn't get bids from the soil remediation contractor. So nobody elected to bid. So we're working with Dyer and our environmental consultant to try to figure out ways in which to rebid the project to make it more attractive so we actually do get bids. So maybe more to follow on that.
We hope, because that's been going on for 5 years.
Definitely, and it's brownfield.
Pardon?
And it's a brownfield.
Right, and it's brownfield. So we were hoping to have that done by October of this year. We're still hoping that that can happen, but we need to get a bid, so anyway.
Okay.
And so, go ahead, did you have more?
Would you like to talk about budget implications?
Sure.
Okay. So DEQ has approved both 3rd and Central and Front Street Green parking lot projects. And these are both associated with the same sponsorship option loan. So should council award the contract for 3rd and Central, DEQ will update the SO loan agreements. Once the agreements are updated, staff will present the amendment to council for approval at a future meeting. So the 3rd and Central Green Parking Lot project will increase the loan from $2.2 million to $2.8 because there was, as you can see, some money that we hadn't spent yet. Additionally, staff can find a way to rebid. If staff can find a way to rebid the Front Street project, another amendment will follow at a later date, and that will increase the $2.8 million loan to $5.2. It seems like a big increase. Staff's working with Donovan Enterprises and our finance department to confirm there's adequate debt service and/or user rates to support the project.
So explain to us and everyone else, when we change the loans, but don't we get a discounted rate by doing this? Am I correct, to help offset some of those costs?
So what we have is we have point source and non-point source loans. So the point source loans are like our Plant 2 project, our Plant Run project, also the Pump Station 17 and Force Main we did in Eastside. And so they give us those at a higher interest rate, but if we do these non-point source projects, these water quality projects, it reduces that interest rate on the big, large projects. So essentially we do these projects at no extra cost.
Right, very good. I just want everyone to understand. I know it's kind of confusing. It took me a while to get it. But anyway, it ends up working out for everyone, and we're getting some things done that really need to be done. So who wants to explain how we ended up with the 3rd and Central parking lot? Because it's
I can
interesting
take that.
how we ended this.
That was actually through a code enforcement effort. At the time, there was a building there known as the Lockhart Building. It had been sold, and unfortunately, the person that purchased it, I believe out of California, bilked other people out of investment dollars, and then he fled the country and left the building there. The building was actually falling in on itself and created a danger to the public. We ended up going through a code enforcement action and then ended up tearing down the building. We placed a lien on the property and then foreclosed on that lien. In doing so, and after taking down the building, we also had to fix the building next door, which is now home to Time Bomb, because they both had a common wall, and when one building went down, the other one was exposed. Later, the council began deliberating what is the best thing to do with that lot, and it chose the greatest need in the downtown was an additional parking lot that could not only provide parking for nearby businesses, but then could also serve for event space for special events such as the Farmers Market, Blackberry Arts Festival, and Fun Festival.
And so that's how we ended up with it. And now I think it'll be a piece of property that can be utilized by all. And it's not more than, as Roger stated, it's more than a parking lot. It's part of an event center too. So anyway, that's how we got here. So now, council, how would you like to proceed?
Move the award construction contract for the Third and Central Green Parking Lot project to Knife River for an amount not to exceed $1,392,627, which includes the 15% contingency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract for construction on the Third and Central Green Parking Lot. Also, I want to mention that it was $200,000 cheaper this time than it was a year ago, the same bid. So, but holding off was the wise thing to do. Anything else? All right, that being the case, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. All right, we are to City Manager's Report. Nicole.
That's me, thank you. So it's June, summer is here, kids are about out of school. We're about to walk into July's celebration for 4th of July. We've got some festivals coming up. And then you'll also note, this is our big kind of project season. We start doing a lot of work out there in the community. We're trying to keep this a little bit short because it's been a long meeting, but we also are just about on our next council update. 3 weeks from now, you'll get to have an update on your council goals. And I guess the last little bit, we have the council opening posted until Thursday, June 8th. And then you guys will hold interviews at your next meeting and hopefully find a great candidate to sit in our open spot here at the dais. And that is all I was going to share tonight.
All right. Next item is council comments. Carmen, you want to start us off?
Sure. I'd just like to start off by, once again, apologizing for not being there in person. Tuesdays are a night where I am taking care of my daughter, so I can't attend in person, but am very grateful for the ability to do this virtually. I also just wanted to say that I'm really excited to see there will be applications for the city council position. It's great to see people wanting to engage at that level, and it's just great to have people being involved in general. So thank you to everybody who's applied thus far, and I look forward to working with everybody to make a decision here coming up soon. And then on to that, from that, I'm just happy to say happy Pride Month and happy Juneteenth, and glad that we have put that forth as a proclamation for our city. So that's all I have for today.
All right, thanks, Carmen. Drew.
I've got nothing big today.
All right, Lucinda.
I just wanted to ask, I think Roger and Nicole, I asked you this earlier. This last weekend, there is a citizen in our community, Derek Tong, who is the executive director of the Small Business Development Center for SWAC, who goes out every day and collects trash in Empire Lakes. And he does it very quietly, all by himself. He's done this in every community he lives in. So what I'd like to do is commend him first for being such a great citizen and helping clean Empire Lakes Park. But I also wanted to ask, in his comments to me, he said he noticed that there was more trash, and we both imagine because it's getting warmer and we might be seeing more people in the parks. And my question to Roger and Nicole was, do we have more people, do we have public services going out and doing more trash collection? Boy, it took a long time to get that out, but that's what I really wanted to ask.
And we have that on our agenda to talk tomorrow at our department head meeting.
Okay, wonderful.
And I can get back to you.
Okay. I also wanted to acknowledge Councilor Kilmer. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Councilor Kilmer. And then, Roger, I also wanted to ask, are we still moving forward with a joint session with the Port of Coos Bay and the City Council?
We are. And I'll just remind the council, I asked if there were any matters that you were wanting to have on the agenda. I want to be able to send a sample of at least what you're looking to talk about to the port so that they can add to it on what they want to talk to the city about.
Great, thank you. That's all I have.
Stephanie.
All right, just a couple of things. My usual reminder that the farmers market takes place on Wednesdays in downtown Coos Bay. And as we get further and further into the season, we have more and more vendors that are setting up down there, so be sure to check that out. Also, the Coos Bay Downtown Association has launched their new website. It was coosbaydowntown.org. It's coosbaydowntown.com now, but it will forward for a while from that previous site. And so be sure to check it out. They have a new logo. It's much more user-friendly. There's still work being done on it to do some QR code tours in downtown area. And Joanne mentioned some of those historic places in Empire. That's kind of what they're doing on their website so that people can actually take a tour using that QR code. And the first one that they're going to be doing is Prefontaine Plaza there. Just wanted to mention that. Also wanted to say congratulations to our fire department for the receipt of that very incredibly important tool. We appreciate and thank Rotary, and it was great to see all of them here today for the retirement of their fellow firefighter. You know, it's tough to realize that you are getting older since it is my birthday today, and recognize that those people were young people like myself back in the day when I was a former reporter. So, but I guess we all get a little bit older every day. But congratulations to our fire department.
Great, thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, happy Pride, very exciting. Great month with lots of activities, as I mentioned before. In addition, the South Coast Equity Coalition has partnered with the Juneteenth Celebration Committee, and they're hosting the 3rd annual Juneteenth celebration on June 17th and 19th. The theme is Family Reunion. This theme was chosen because for Black communities, family reunions have centered around resilience through storytelling, visibility, joy, and food. There's a lot of really great events happening, and you can find that on the South Coast Equity Coalition Facebook page or website, and we hope to see you at those events. I also want to announce that the Coos History Museum has decided on and offered and had an accepted position for the executive director. Heather Christianberry has been actually our curator at the museum and will move into the executive director role. So we're really happy about that.
Lucinda, you had one more comment?
Jim, this is for you. I went on a walkabout in Mingus Park, not on Front Street, but in Mingus Park, because you challenged me to walk in other places in our community. And as a result of that, I have a question for the staff. I noticed that we're doing some work kind of in that playground area where the equipment looks pretty old. And can you give us an update? I noticed it obviously needed some love, and there were a few trip hazards as I was walking along the path. So can you give us an update on where we're at in fixing those?
Sure. What's known as the children's play area has been in need of some upgrades. If you go there during the winter time, that area always floods and is underwater. The city did seek out a grant in previous years, but was not successful. We currently have a grant request in, and we've been invited to go to the next stage. Part of that will be to remove that equipment out of there, to raise that area up and improve the drainage and allow part of that to go to the natural park that it is, and then do some improvements to the pavilion there.
Great. That was for you, Jim. Mm-hmm.
All right, anyone else? Any other comments?
I had one final thing.
Sure.
It's just that those trash cans are so cool. If you haven't seen them,
The Belly Busters.
There's one by So It Goes. There's one on the boardwalk. There's one in Empire. Am I missing any?
I think we have 3 right now.
3. They're really cool, and they work on solar and compact the trash, which obviously lessens the load on city staff, but they are really cool. And I was walking on the boardwalk, and some visitors were walking by, and I overheard them Googling what is this trash can and talking about, man, this city is really progressive. So anyway, thank you for the trash cans.
I will share that we had to do some alterations to the one in Empire that's sitting out in front of the post office. we had to put some city logos on it because someone deposited their mail in there.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Well, I think the city logo looks good on all of them, so that's great, yeah.
Maybe we can include that on the Coos Bay Downtown Association QR code tour.
Yeah. All right, so I'd like, my comments this evening, I'd like to tell Stephanie happy birthday. First of all, we have, I'm pleased to see that so far we have 6 applicants for the council opening. We still have time until June 8th, so if anyone's interested, we're accepting applications, and I appreciate the ones that have already put their applications in. I also am glad that we are got the proclamations for the Pride Month and also Juneteenth. They're great to come back every year, and I look forward to seeing them next year also. I want to let everyone know that the Coos Bay, Southwestern Regional Airport is looking for an executive director. Teresa Cook has a contract to the end of the year. Because of medical reasons, she will not be renewing her contract, and so the board has gone out and looking for a new director. So we're hoping to get that position filled in time for her to give them help them transition to the new position. So we're looking for that. Anyone that wants to, that might be interested in an airport executive director, I'd send them our way. Anyway, the next thing, I had the opportunity today, someone reached out to me and suggested that I might want to go out to the Devereaux Center today. So they have what they call the DKD clinic that has been there for 1 year now. And it started with 6 volunteers, and now it's up to 20, and they do a variety of different things that help the homeless and anyone that needs some help medically. They did 238 clinical cares. They did, the chaplain saw 57 people, 20 social workers, 39 public health, 89 mental people were helped, HIV 9, 6 advanced health were taken care of, 37 wounded care, and it goes on. So I was impressed of what they do out there, and so it's every third Tuesday, first and third Tuesday, council meeting days. They are out there from 9:30 to 2. If you get a chance, stop by, tell them thank you. I did, and I think you'll be impressed on what they do. And we had some police officers out there that participate, some firemen also. So we get involved. There's a lot that are involved in this operation and process. Very impressive. So anyway, I was pleased to see that. Those are the end of my comments tonight. Now, we do have an executive session, so I won't adjourn the meeting, but we also have an urban renewal meeting that I will postpone this meeting, and we'll do the urban renewal meeting and then come back to do our executive session. Thank you for everyone. You're more than welcome to stay. Thank you for your comments, and if not, please have a good evening. Thanks.
Okay, we'll be in recess for about 5 minutes while we change